The Taiwanese Qingfonghua 168 fishing vessel was hijacked on April 28, 2007. The surviving crew of 10 Chinese, 2 Taiwanese and 2 Filipino crew members was released on November 5 after spending more than 6 months in captivity. One Chinese crew member was killed by the pirates on May 28 because the ship's owners failed to meet their ransom demands. Crew members on the Qingfonghua 168 ordeal began that sunny afternoon. The man on the lookout suddenly shouted, "Captain, pirates, it must be them." Soon all the people saw a small speedboat sailing fast towards Qingfonghua 168. "Damn it, it's pirates," cried the captain. The aggressors approached quickly from behind a vessel. The pirates were now clearly in view, 15 ragtag Somalis, armed with Kalashnikovs and a reloadable rocket-propelled grenade launcher. The captain ordered the fire hose into use, but it was weak and could not deter the attack. The pirates managed to hook a ladder over the ship's gangway, and one of them began to clamber up the side. The crew members fought back. They strained to dislodge the ladder and throw the pirate into the sea. Faced with resistance, 2 pirates fired their guns. The crew on the ship was unarmed and one member was shot in the back. People ran away and 15 pirates stormed aboard vessel. They armed with automatic rifles, machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. The pirates burst onto the deck. Crew members had to raise hands. The pirates were skinny barefoot young men in ragged clothes. They probably under some kind of stimulant. They were all very excited, even nervous. Their leaders are more mature, but equally nervous. He was a small clean man of large build with deep scars on his shoulders. Of all the pirates, he was the only one who wore shoes. The captain asked, "What do you want?" The leader answered, "Money." Responding to the news, Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman said the ministry would seek to provide assistance to the abducted crew members. But the ministry had not received enough information from the families of the crew or the fishery departments so that the necessary measures cannot be taken. "We have not received a request for assistance from the families," Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs added. It was difficult to obtain information as Taiwan does not have a representative office in Somalia. This was at the height of Somali piracy. By February of 2012, figures from the UN suggested that 10 vessels had been held by Somali pirates, 159 hostages captured, and the ship's owners paid about $146 million in ransom to the gangs. When negotiations with the ship's Taiwanese owners were going badly, the pirates killed 32-year-old Chen Tao, who came from China, and have threatened to take the life of another if their demands are not met. Others received death threats, but were unharmed. He was very unlucky because piracy just took him at random, recalled Mr. Ling, who had worked with Chen Tao for 2 years. He remembers Chen Tao being grabbed out of a lineup and then 6 shots that rang out on the other side of the boat. "We were in shock," said Mr. Ling. He raised a dragon-tattooed arm to smooth a sprinkling of white hair. "Just for money they took a life. They are not human. After they shot that guy, I was really afraid," said Mr. Ling. 4 crew members were ordered to drag the man's body into the ship's freezers, where Mr. Ling insisted him stay. At first, the pirates wanted to throw it to the sharks. Over the next months, the crew battled scurvy when their vegetables ran out, endured frequent mock executions. They were occasionally beaten by guards because the Chinese and Taiwanese sailors could not understand the pirates' orders in broken English. The pirates also forced crew members to call home in hopes their families would pressure the ship's owner to pay the ransom. On the phone, Mr. Ling heard the cries of his wife and mother. For lack of food, Mr. Ling and the other hostages often caught and ate mice, scorpions and centipedes. In Somalia, the hostages on Qingfonghua 168 met people who became hostages before them. The crew, which included seafarers from Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam and Cambodia, became friends in distress. They were taken hostage at the peak of Somali piracy also. In the bush of northern Somalia, hostages from all over the world try their best to catch birds, wild cats and even rats. They also look for things left behind by the earlier hostages. "You had to eat everything," hostages said. "You need to eat to survive. Mr. Balbero was one of a 29-man crew of the Taiwanese registered fishing vessel, the Naham 3. Its crew of fishermen came from different corners of East Asia, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, the Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam. Its crew of 29 was reduced to 26. During this period, 3 hostages died, including a Taiwanese captain who was shot when he attacked the pirates with a chair as they boarded. The other 2 crew members later died from illness. The ship was forced to travel to the coast of Somalia. The Naham 3 was no merchant ship that belonged to a wealthy seafaring company, and there was no forthcoming ransom. With few working for their release, these men were often called the forgotten hostages. Mr. Balbero spent 4.5 years in captivity as one of the longest-held hostages in the history of Somali piracy. He spent most of it living outdoors in the Somali bush, close to the town of Galkayo. In addition to depriving the hostages of food and water, the pirates often beat them. Mr. Balbero thought pirates have an animal mentality. When the hostage was sick and asked for medical treatment, the pirate said, "You'd better die." Isn't that a beast mentality? When released, Mr. Balbero arrived in Nairobi as a 32-year-old man. During his captivity, the story of Somali piracy had reached Hollywood screens, with Tom Hanks starring in the title role of the film Captain Phillips. Mr. Balbero often mourns the death of the 3 crew members, who did not survive the ordeal. He and 3 crew members joined Naham 3 on the same day, he remembers. Before they died, their legs and faces were swollen so much, it was a kind of horrible swelling. They died of diseases Mr. Balbero did not know about. When we were told we were going home, I remembered these 2 crew members and the captain, and I said to their souls, "I am sorry." Mr. Balbero said after being released to meet his loved ones, "We worked in the ship the same year and were on the same 3-year contract." Mr. Librev, who came from India, said, "Out in the forest, the hostages became so hungry, we suffered a lot. We only ate rice, beans, flour, wheat. We were forced to catch rats. We made nets out of rope and tree trunks to capture rats and birds, using rice as bait. We were forced to eat mice, scorpions and centipedes to survive during the nearly 5 years." Later, Somali pirates have released 26 hostages held for nearly 5 years in terrible conditions. One of the survivors tells CNN of his desperate struggle. Taiwan's government has been criticized for not doing enough to secure the hostages' release. But the Foreign Ministry said that efforts by the countries involved in the negotiations should be recognized. Eventually, through an interpreter, the owner of the Ching Fonghua 168 fishing vessel promised to hand over the $1.5 million ransom demanded by the pirates in October. But the owner refused to reveal to others how much he wanted to pay. The relieved crew thought they were going home, but the pirates held out for more money. Life as a prisoner goes on. The suffering will go on. That's when the Americans got involved. The Navy spoke to the pirates by radio strong demand the pirates to leave the vessel. The pirates had to get off the vessel. After the pirates left, the hostages boarded a small boat, and then a Navy vessel escorted the ship out of Somali waters and gave its crew food and medical assistance. The hostages, who don't know English, was unclear who had helped them. But he believed UN forces, as well as the US military, were in the area. US officials would not say what was done to persuade the pirates to leave. But earlier, a US naval vessel had fired on pirate skiffs. The crew members returned to their homes thanks to the efforts of the US naval vessel, which has been fighting for their freedom by appealing directly to elders and religious leaders within Somalia for the past 6 months. Somalia lies at the mouth of the Red Sea on a major trade route between Asia and Europe via the Suez Canal, and has lacked a functional government since the 1991 ouster of dictator Mohammed Siad Barre. After the collapse of the Somali government and the dispersal of the Somali Navy, international fishing vessels began to conduct illegal fishing in Somali territorial waters, and Somali fishing communities responded by forming armed groups to deter the invaders. These groups, using small boats, would sometimes hold foreign vessels and crew for ransom. Later this grew into a lucrative trade, and the armed groups then began hijacking commercial vessels. Large numbers of unemployed Somali youth began to see it as a means of supporting their families. Pirates have made Somali waters, through which thousands of merchant ships pass each year, some of the most dangerous in the world. The Somali piracy generally used speedboats. They carried automatic rifles, machine guns, and rocket-propelled grenades.